What is up, YouTube? So I just tweeted out a link saying that we're live. My phone is going off telling me that I'm live. I have to keep my phone on because I'm still looking for job type things. So if it goes off, I'm going to have to check it. Yeah, sorry about that. But I wanted to do a live stream here in the middle of the day because I usually do them at night. And yeah, East Coast time zone isn't the only time zone where people like come hang out and want to chat. So I've been cheating on YouTube a little bit today by setting up a Twitch stream, learning OBS and how that stuff works, seeing how OBS and Twitch run on my computer and my internet connection. So I've been testing out Twitch stuff. If that at all interests you, you can go follow my channel on there. I haven't really done anything. It's Aaron and Beta on there too, no spaces. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. What's up, Jason, Omar, Anthony, Juan? How's it going, guys? Wow, there are 10 people here already. That's pretty wild. Yeah, I will link that, I guess, in the chat. I can do that. If you guys care about Twitch at all and want to go say hi on Twitch, that is my Twitch room, and my voice just cracked because my computer's acting funny. Anywho's, so how is your guys' Friday going? It's almost the weekend. Where is everybody at today? I know it's 1 p.m. on the East Coast, so I'm assuming some of you people aren't East Coast people in America, maybe international, maybe other places. I don't know. I don't know where people come from. From Kenya. That is a long way away. How's it going over there, man? Are you here for developer stuff? You trying to become a developer over there? How is that sort of thing? Texas, Missouri, Columbus. Is that Columbus, Ohio one? I was just there last weekend. I love Columbus so much, although I didn't like what happened last weekend with the football game. So about to watch my truck, then start learning some more Ruby. Oh, wash your truck. There we go. Wait, I mean, maybe your truck's super interesting and you wanted to watch. No, that's awesome. Ruby is really cool. I have a little bit of experience with Ruby, and most of the front-end work that I've done has been consuming like a Ruby API. So Ruby is cool. I don't think there's anything wrong with all that. 9 p.m. here in Nairobi. What's up? That's pretty crazy. Time differences are so funny, man. It still is hard to wrap your head around. Somebody from Morocco. I know you're not my only Morocco viewer. I have a couple of those. That's pretty awesome. Moroccan, not Morocco. Moroccan viewer. So, Bieran and Alpha. I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing there. I just feel like I got to keep my branding the same across platforms. No, Manchester, UK, Canada, everybody all around. Software engineer intern at a promising startup in Kenya. That's awesome, man. What is the scene like over there as far as like startup culture and that sort of stuff? I know there's a place that I'm interviewing with and like in talks with who do development work out of Cape Town, South Africa, which I know is a far way away from Kenya, but it was kind of wild to hear that apparently Cape Town is like a super big like tech hub over on that side of the world. So it's pretty crazy. In Bosnia is a far way away too, man. How is the tech scene in Bosnia? William Shakespeare diving into his first Ruby on Rails project. What are you trying to build over there? Also, if anybody wants to tell me, I don't know the audio because I can't hear myself because I don't have headphones in. So if it's not loud, tell me and I can talk louder. How is the job search going? The job search is going, continuing to go. I have applied to a bunch of places. I'm in the process with a few places. I have one really, really promising lead. It's just their time frame on hiring is a little bit farther out than what I want it to be. So I'm trying to work with them to get me on sooner as opposed to waiting until like the first of the year, because I will go crazy if I have to set up my apartment for a lot more days, because just sitting here and not doing actual work is kind of getting under my skin a little bit. So I'm still out there hustling, trying to find a job, building side projects and all of that stuff. So yeah, that's where I'm headed. Romania, what's up? Marius, I'm assuming, maybe Marius. What do I think about remote work? Well, I don't have any problem with remote work. I think it's an awesome opportunity to be able to live anywhere in the world and be able to work, or anywhere in a state or anywhere in a country and be able to work. I would love to in the future maybe have a remote job and be able to go and move random awesome places. Like, that is super dope, and I think it's awesome. Right now for me, I don't want to work remote because I feel like I'm still new. And it's not that you can't be successful as a new developer in remote work, but I like really face-to-face interaction and being able to interact with people and learning from people that way, as opposed to doing it like via Slack or via voice chat, that sort of stuff. So like, I understand the need for remote work, especially if you're in a place where it's not like super prevalent, like a tech scene. You live in a small town or outside of America where there's not a lot of tech work, someplace like that. I can understand the appeal of remote work, and if that's how you get a job, that's dope. It's just not something that I want to do right now because of my learning style and the way that I like to operate. My passions in life are building stuff, creating stuff, being creative, and doing it with other people. And I really like face-to-face interaction. I'm just one of those people. Have I considered freelancing? I have considered freelancing. Freelancing is also kind of scary for me for the same reason. Like, I go through these moments of like sincere confidence that I can tackle any problem, and I go through these other lesser confident spells where I would be afraid that I would get a job and not be able to pull it off. I really want to end up somewhere where I can collaborate with people and work and kind of leech off of other people's genius, and also be like a productive member of a team as opposed to working by myself. Although in the short-term future, like within a couple years, I think that I would love to kind of try to start my own thing, whether it be like a digital agency, or if it were something like that, to get a platform or a job and that sort of stuff for myself, like be able to do my own thing and own my own business and work on projects that I think are super awesome. That would kind of be my like goal. Tech scene is pretty good, a number of good startups and companies, though the pay isn't quite the same as the US. Experience is great though. Yeah, I would assume there's probably a lot of people that go over there because they can pay less, which is crappy, but it's the nature of the thing. Am I a full stack developer? I am not a full stack developer, although I do have some experience with Ruby and some experience with Node and some experience with PHP. I don't have a ton, and I wouldn't call myself a full stack developer. What's up, Clara? Super awesome. Clara reads books. If you guys don't know her, she does book and writing videos. She is super dope. She's one of like my oldest friends on YouTube, one of the first people I ever met on here. So if you like books or you like writing, go drop her a line. Go hit subscribe on her channel because she is super awesome. BB, I don't know what you're going through, man, but I hope all is well for you. Where's Leo? Leo, actually, you can probably see him right over my shoulder here. That's his butt. He's laying down and sleeping. That's what he does all day. So how do you respond, Aaron? How do I respond to what? To that person? I mean, I hope they find what they're looking for. I'm not a spiritual guider. I'm nothing like that. So I hope they find what they look for. If I could go back in time, oh, you are the reason why I am learning web development. Well, I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that you enjoy web development and you have a passion for it, and it's something that you think that you can do for a while and help your situation out. That's super awesome. I'm glad I could help you out. I'm glad that my channel has helped you, and good luck with everything. If I could go back in time, back when you were in the boot camp, what advice would you give yourself knowing what you know now? Honestly, dude, the best advice that I could give myself back then was like, just keep trucking. I had moments of doubt where, I didn't think I was going to be able to solve this problem, or I didn't think that I was going to be able to make it through the boot camp, and there were hard times, and you just have to keep going. I am forever thankful that I decided to do the boot camp, and I think I always will be, because it honestly changed my life for the better in every possible way. Like, there's nothing negative that came out of my experience at a boot camp. So I'm like pretty happy about my decision to go there. I think other advice that I would give myself is like chill out, like calm down, you know, don't like keep ramming your head against a wall. Take breaks and understand that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to like search out other answers, and it's okay to take a break if you're just stuck, because you're not helping yourself by just pounding your head against the wall, hitting refresh a bunch of times and not changing anything. What's up, Nigel? I think the best way to build front-end career, sticking with the same company or changing jobs after some time. I started working in a company from San Francisco a couple weeks ago. I mean, I think that it's really going to be dependent on really like what your situation is, right? If you want to build a career with the same company and you think this company is super awesome and you see the longevity there, sticking with them might be the right move, and moving up and becoming more, you know, senior at that particular job. Changing jobs isn't bad either. You get exposed to different techniques, different ways of doing things. You get exposed to new technologies, new projects. So that's also something that's really awesome. I honestly, myself, I'm one of the people that likes to kind of try new things. So I don't necessarily see myself working at the same place for 30 years unless I start my own like company or whatever. And that would be a way for me to be able to pick and choose kind of where I go. But it's really about like what your sense of security is. If your sense of security is sticking with the same place and you want to work for a place that you know is going to be around for a long time, or you think is going to be around for a long time, there's no problem with that. A lot of people change jobs like a lot in tech. It's not exactly the best thing. It's not exactly the worst thing. It's all to you, man. I'm not too much, Clara. Leo says hi. Leo's butt says hi. Do you have interest in going more in the back end, or is front end more of your passion? Honestly, I want to be able to build dope stuff, man. That's what I want to do. And so I would love to explore more of like the back end technologies, building APIs and doing those kind of things. It's just not where my skill set is right now. So as I'm trying to find a job, obviously I'm going to like double down on that to try to get a job in that like field. But I want to be like, I would love to be able to take something from start to finish by myself and be able to just kill it. And yeah, I mean, you need to know the back end stuff if you really want to build a fully functioning app. So it's definitely something that is my goal in the near future. Very inspiring though. Watch your vids between coding sessions and learning new stuff. So keep it up. Thanks, Anthony, man. Honestly, like everybody who comes to this channel and talks about how they're learning code on their own or the things that they're doing, like they are super inspirational to me. Like I couldn't imagine like what YouTube has done for my life, right? Like I expected to post videos, and I've talked about this a bunch, but I expected to post videos and nobody had ever watch and all of that stuff. And then people started showing up, and it's just amazing to me. And it's a beautiful thing. And I love like all of you. And I appreciate everything that you guys have done for me, even if you don't know that you did it, because it's honestly like an inspiration. It keeps me on my toes. It keeps me learning, and it keeps me thinking about like tech and stuff, even when I like feel like giving up, like when I got let go from the job and stuff like that. Like it's been awesome. Do you ever feel like giving up during your coding experience? Any tips? Honestly, I literally just said it. Like I did think about it. Like I've thought about it before. It's something like whenever you're faced with adversity, like your brain has a natural mentality to think about quitting. Like most people's brains work that way. You're faced with adversity and you're challenging yourself. And so you're going to think about like, why don't I just take the easier route of not going through with this? For me, I had a job where I was like comfortable. Like I made enough money and I was good at it and I was able to survive. And so taking the leap to jump out of that career field and go into something completely different like coding, like there were many times where my brain was like, why are you doing this? This is the hard path. You could have taken the easy path and just stuck with what you were doing before and be able to be fine. Like not great, like you aren't super fulfilled, but you'll be fine. And you just have to remind yourself that like the reason why this is hard or the reason why this is challenging is because it's worth it. Like you climb a mountain to get to the top. You don't start to climb a mountain to figure out you don't want to go up the mountain, right? I should listen to the podcast Shop Talk Show. Yeah, you mentioned that. I actually haven't like picked it up, but I really do need to. I'm looking for more podcasts to check out. Also, I tweeted about a podcast today. It's called base.cs. I tweeted about it. So if you don't follow me on Twitter, check me out there. It's Twitter, it's at 937Aaron. There are these two awesome people who are like developers who are pretty prominent on Twitter, and they do this podcast about like basic computer science, and it's super dope. You should check it out. Where you practice design, not the basics, I mean websites, CSS, HTML, JS. Where do you practice it? Like, if you want to learn how to design stuff, I am not the best person to ask because I am not a designer, right? Like, I'm a developer by trade. And while I know what colors I like and I know what kind of design patterns I enjoy, I'm not a person who is, you know, a design person. It's just not my forte. If you're looking for designs, like practical, like modern web designs to like try to build with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, going to dribbble.com, Dribble, I believe, and just type in what you want to build. Like if you want to build like an e-commerce website, or if you want to build a mobile app or stuff like that, and they all have designs from designers that you can like go then replicate with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript if you want to build out the functionality for them. Currently in bootcamp and almost done. Where you recommend me to start an apprenticeship? Should I start with a big company or startup? Well, honestly, if like it depends on your situation. It depends on where you are. If there are big companies and there are startups where you're at, and you want to work for one over the other, by all means, go for it. What I would suggest is trying to find a place, since you're a bootcamp grad in all of that stuff, I would try to find a place where you can get a sense that they will take you in and they will be able to help you grow, right? Like you have scratched the surface and you've shown a certain aptitude in your bootcamp for programming, and you've shown that you have this passion for it because you've given up or you've sacrificed whatever part of your life you have to join this bootcamp and finish it. What you need to do now is be able to get latched onto a company that is good for junior developers. It needs to be a place where they will mentor you and help you out, and be able to not just, you know, stick you with like 5 billion bugs and never move you on to anything else. Try to find a place that'll help you grow, if that's a possibility for you in your like economic situation. You can be picky if you can be picky, and if you can't, then find a job that you at least can find like a semblance of happiness in, or a semblance of passion for what they're doing, and join them and try to work your way up, or try to make your own path there to be able to grow as a developer. Let's see. And like apprenticeships, right. So if you don't feel 100% confident with your skills, like first off, you've finished a boot camp, so you have at least some sort of like semblance of skills, right? Like you have a base there for skills. And I don't know, man. Like most people aren't going to feel confident with their skills when they first graduate a boot camp. You're not sure that you're ready. Right? Like when I was in a boot camp, we would get daily projects that we'd have to build, and then we'd get weekend projects. And every time we would get a project, my first thought was, I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to finish this. And then somehow you finish it, right? So like you are going to doubt yourself because this is new and you're new to it, and you probably don't like consider yourself like a developer yet, even though you probably are. So don't be worried about that. If a company finds value in you, they find value in you for a reason, and you should be happy with that. Can I post a link to that podcast, please, or mention it again? Let me see if I can find my Twitter account, because I tweeted about it, and then that has a link to that podcast. It's called base.cs, is the name of the podcast, but I do have a link, I'm pretty sure. If my computer will work, it hates me. I don't know if you guys saw the video where I talk about it, but I am using like a pretty old, like a 2012 MacBook Pro currently as my personal computer. And so it doesn't like it when I try to do a bunch of stuff on it all at once, which I am currently trying to do. So there's that. I posted that link in there for you for the podcast. My phone is telling me something about ESPN, and then other stuff is going on. Yep, nothing important, nothing job related, so I don't have to run away. Jason says, startup corporate companies are scary to work for. Some corporate companies are scary to work for, and some are super awesome. There are places down here in the Triangle, there are corporate companies, like large, like really big companies, not all of them in tech, that have tech departments down here. And working for their tech department is very similar to working for a startup in its culture, because they understand the needs and desires of developers. So they try to be cool. And by being cool, they feel more like a startup than it is working for like a multi-thousand person company. Did you have many algorithm tests during job interviews? So it depends on what your definition of algorithm is, right? So if you're using the term algorithm to mean like a big scary math things, no. If you're using the term algorithm to mean like figure out how someone won at tic-tac-toe on the whiteboard, then yeah, right? I mean, that's technically an algorithm. It's a set of steps that like produce an end result that like, so I have had technical interviews where they ask to write an algorithm to figure out what prime number, like to print out a list of prime numbers and stuff like that. So those things do happen. I've also had interviews where there are no technical questions. They want a culture fit, and they see my bootcamp experience as good enough to know that I know like a baseline of stuff, and they want a culture fit. So they go and they hang out and they ask questions about who I am as a person, what I like, what I don't like, all of that stuff, what I'm looking for out of a company. So there's that too. What all do you know? Not just the languages or frameworks, but like the level of each framework or language. So that's a big question. So I know HTML, I know CSS, I also know Sass, and I have a really good understanding of like Foundation and Bootstrap and all of the sassy type stuff that comes with Sass. I know vanilla JavaScript, I know jQuery, I know Angular 1 or Angular JS, and I know that really well because that's what I built my final project in. I know Twig, which is PHP templating language. I know how to build on the Craft CMS, which is similar to WordPress or Drupal, but just a little bit less popular. I know React, and I know React pretty well. Like I would say I know React well enough to be able to build just about anything in it, but I wouldn't be able to do it as quickly as I could have with Angular 1. I know Redux, and I know Redux well enough to be confident that I could build stuff, but probably not confident that I'm doing it in the best or most efficient way possible. And then I have very limited knowledge of PHP, Ruby, and Node. I wouldn't really be able to do much in there except for maybe be able to follow along in a couple of tutorials a little bit faster than somebody who has no idea about those languages. I'm a web dev student focusing on front end. I need to build my portfolio now. Can we use Dribble UI design in PSD, for example, and build the HTML, CSS, JS? No need to request permission. As far as I know, you can. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, and I haven't read like the terms of use of Dribble, but I do know that a lot of people recommend going there for designs to build. So I would say, yeah, yeah. Hey, Aaron, do you recommend Colt Steele's Web Developer Bootcamp on Udemy? It's a full stack online course. Do you think I can get an entry-level web dev doing the course to showcase my skills? I don't know. I have heard, you're not the first person to bring up this Colt Steele Udemy course. I'm going to look it up right now and see what it's about. I have, like I said, you're not the first person to bring this up. And so I know that other people recommend it. Let's see if it is something that I would also recommend. Make real web applications using cutting edge technology, create a blog application from scratch using Express. So not knowing, let's see here. I mean, you're hitting a bunch of points that I would suggest you hit if you're looking for a job, right? You're looking at JavaScript, you're looking at HTML, you're looking at CSS, you're looking at jQuery, Bootstrap, Express, Node. These are all like really good things to know if you're looking to apply for jobs. Don't know that you're hitting. The one thing that I will say it looks like this is missing is going to be some sort of JavaScript framework or library, like React, Redux, Angular, Ember, Backbone, like those kind of things. I don't see any of those listed here. I don't think it's a bad course. It's looks like it's $15 right now. So there's like, it's not, I wouldn't say that it's probably a waste of $15. Could you go out and get a front end job doing it? Probably, but it's going to have to be a very specific job for a junior developer that they're willing to mentor if they're like a modern web application kind of shop and they use a front end framework. And if they're not, if they're more of like an agency that builds out like websites and like bespoke web apps for like smaller companies or medium-sized companies, then I mean, probably, right? HTML, CSS, JavaScript, those are the big three. You need to have a firm understanding and be able to build stuff in those. So if you have those, that's what you're looking to get into for like a front-end developer. So for a front-end wannabe, where or what do you recommend learning next after HTML, CSS, and JavaScript? It really depends on what the area you live in is looking for. And this also goes back to like the T-Rex question. Dude, why would you assume that? That's really funny. So I would say that the next thing to learn is like a JavaScript framework if you don't have that kind of experience, right? So React, Redux, Angular, whatever in your area people are using. Vue is another one that's kind of popping up. Look up jobs, figure out what the skills are that people at the companies that you want to work for are looking for, and learn those things. That's the most important advice I can give you, right? If you live in an area of the country that is all about Angular, then learning React is probably not the greatest thing to learn if all the jobs are Angular. Or if you live in an area that has no Ruby jobs, you probably don't want to learn Ruby at that point. Go on Indeed, go on LinkedIn, search your area or the area you want to live, and find out what they're looking for. Let's see. He has just made an advanced web developer bootcamp that has React Redux. That's really good. Yeah. I mean, that's 2 courses instead of 1. But I can't speak to this Colt Steele guy's like teaching style. It may be something for you. It may not be. The cool thing about Udemy is they give refunds if you don't like the course within 30 days. And they also will let you like watch a couple of videos. Like there are those preview videos. So I would check those out before you jump too much into them. And then once you spend the money, if you don't like it after a few days, you can always get a refund. Andrew Mead is somebody, I see Tomas just put in Andrew Mead's name. I like him. I like his courses. I've bought a couple of them. And then Stephen Grider, Grider, does a React and a React Native course and a Redux course. And I've worked through those. Those are all pretty awesome as well. But I know Python, so it helps. Let's see, but I feel like I don't know how to make anything, and the company ads are always so extensive for what they want. So I will say companies' advertisements for jobs, right? Job descriptions, job postings are typically not written by the people that actually need the person to work for them. So they may ask for 25 years of JavaScript experience, even though JavaScript has only been around for, you know what I mean? The people who write these job postings don't always know exactly what they need, and they're grasping at straws when they throw out requirements. If you see a job that asks for 1 to 3 years of experience and they want you to know Java, PHP, Ruby on Rails, JavaScript, C#, like those, like nobody with a year of experience knows all of those languages, right? My personal like theory, my personal thought process when applying to jobs is find a place that you want to work. Find a place that has some sort of like your skills line up somewhat to the job description. Write a really awesome cover letter if they allow it, and tell them why you have a passion for what they do and why you want to work there. And then apply. The worst thing that can happen is that they say no. You've wasted what, 20, 30 minutes, maybe an hour writing a cover letter. I mean, it's really, you got to try to hustle out there to really get the kind of things that you want. And that's what I would suggest doing. My face is getting red because my face always gets red. I'm also like pretty thirsty. So yeah. Let's see, is there a course that you recommend better? For the basics like HTML, JavaScript, that sort of stuff, I think Treehouse does a really good job on doing that. Also, there are plenty of Udemy courses out there. Like I said, a lot of people recommend that Colt Steele course, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. If you're looking for like a framework course, Stephen Grider's name I brought up a couple of minutes ago, and then Andrew Mead Andrew Mead's React course is pretty good, and he just completely redid it, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I know I'm talking too much. My face is red. It's all bad. Tasks of an entry-level front-end developer. Oh, Leo just left. He's walking around. He'll probably come bug me for cuddles now. So let's see. Tasks of an entry-level front-end developer. It's really dependent upon where you land. If you're at a big place, it's probably going to be squashing bugs, given small tasks, small problems to fix and try to fix quickly, which isn't a bad thing. It gets you comfortable with a code base. It gets you comfortable working on a dev team and going through their dev workflow with GitHub or whatever kind of version control they use, that sort of thing. So I would say that's probably the most common what you're going to be doing. The other side is if you're working with a small dev team, they might kind of throw you into the wolves and give you small projects, or they may have you shadow a more senior developer for a few weeks on one project and kind of pair with them to get familiar with the code base. Typically, it's not going to be like build out this completely new feature for us, right? Like you're not going to be able to go in and just like guns ablaze and be able to knock out the new commenting system on Facebook or whatever it is as a junior developer, right? And you probably wouldn't want to be given that task because it would drive you insane thinking about how you're going to get it done. And that's probably a pretty good way of like that's a good question to ask in interviews. Is like, what do you see this role doing? Day 1, day 5, day 30, day 90, 6 months down the line, what do you see this role doing? What are you looking out of me or looking for from me? Let's see. GitHub only seems difficult until you start using it in practice. Then it becomes easier to start with basic tutorials. Also, you have a GUI version if you're afraid of the command line. Yeah, I've never used the GUI version of GitHub, but I've heard amazing things. There's also GitHub integration into VS Code, like Visual Studio's IDE, if you don't want to use Atom. I think Atom has integration with GitHub now that I've never used. I learned how to do it on the command line, so that's what I'm familiar with. So that's what I feel comfortable with. It's a lot less intimidating once you learn GitHub than it is when you first see GitHub and it looks like it's from 1992 and you're a computer hacker trying to use it, right? It's a lot less intimidating once you get into it and start using it. But merge conflicts suck. Merge conflicts are the worst. So what advice do you have for people that do not know when they are ready to start applying to jobs? I would say that there's a fine balance on bordering on extreme confidence and realism. If you've been at this for a few months and you can build projects on your own and you're running out of tutorials that are challenging, then like you're probably definitely ready to apply for a job. I also think it's hard to gauge whether you're ready to apply for a job until you actually start applying for jobs. Going out there and putting yourself out there, if you're comfortable with HTML, CSS, and you're comfortable with vanilla JavaScript, and you can build some pretty cool stuff, like some pretty modern looking stuff with those technologies, try putting yourself out there. Try applying to some places that you think you may or may not be able to get a job at and see what they say, see what they think. Feel free to reach out to people who you know on Twitter and YouTube, stuff like that, to look over like a portfolio if you have a portfolio and see what kind of projects you can build and if that looks like job-ready stuff. But you're never going to know unless you put yourself out there. And it's hard to put yourself out there because you don't know if you're ready. So I would suggest taking the step of putting yourself out there like at the like kind of first moment you think that you're ready. Let's see. Should stay in the basement. Barbara, thanks for the support. Let's see. What's up, Ricky? How's it going? Also, I'm trying to set up my environment. I have Atom installed right now, and I'm confused on what or how to use a framework with. Random person. I am trying to figure out what you mean, right? Like if you're trying to use like React and Redux, then you need to like npm install those into your project or get like create React app, that sort of stuff. It depends on what you're trying to buy, or not buy, what you're trying to build and how you're trying to build it. I had to do the guns blazing way for an ordering system from HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to Node.js, CSS handlebars, jQuery puts on my chest. Was that like your first project? Is that what you're saying when you were after you got hired, Ricky? Because that's pretty wild. Yeah, I feel like that would have drove me insane because I would have been so like enamored with getting it done and being worried that I was like not able to do it. Also, if you guys are here, there's 29 watching. There are 13 likes on this video. Feel free to hit the like button because that is cool. I have my ring on my thumb for some reason. It's going to annoy someone. Third project, that's pretty crazy, man. That still seems like a lot. I didn't know Node. I mean, I still don't know Node. If I got thrown in with a Node project, I would probably spend all my time working because I would just want to figure it out. Martin, how's the job hunting process? It's going, man. I'm still out here hustling. I have one really, really good lead, and I'm in the process with a couple other places. Hopefully soon. Hopefully. Let's see, salary range for an entry-level front end in my market. Jeff, I would say, so I'm in the Raleigh-Durham market, right? So we're in North Carolina. It's not New York. It's not San Francisco. So it's not going to be a ton of money, but it's still really good money. General vicinity from people that I know that graduated from the Iron Yard. I don't know about self-taught, and I don't know about like computer grads, but people from the Iron Yard that I know that got jobs, it's somewhere in the region of like 55 to 70-ish a year is what people kind of got hired in, somewhere in that range for front-end work. And let's see, Aaron, thanks for taking the time out, giving us advice and knowledge. Thanks, Juan. Honestly, like this is some of the best like time in my day is when I get to film stuff for you guys or go live. I love being live. I don't do it as often as I want to because I get nervous that I'm just like repeating the same stuff over and over again, I guess. I should get over that. And hopefully I'll be able to go live more often once I get this Twitch channel up and running. I definitely want to transition some live shows over to there. Hopefully. I'll just keep crossing my fingers throughout the stream. What do you think about that junior job position that requires 3 to 5 years experience on lots of technologies? Is it a good idea to apply for them as well, even if we just graduated? Well, if it's a junior job posting that requires 3 to 5 years of experience, then it's not a junior job, right? 3 to 5 years is typically outside of the realm of what people consider a junior developer, unless they're not counting years worked and they're counting like what kind of like leadership skills you have or whatever. But how are they going to be able to? If it's 3 to 5 years and it's also called a junior role, I would apply to it because if I would trust the job title more than the job description. So if the job title is junior web developer, then the 3 to 5 years part is probably the mistake, not the junior title. And I would apply to it. You know, it's somebody messed up. Either the years are wrong or the junior title is wrong. Have I got a new job? No, I haven't yet, but I'm like pretty close. Will I make a video about JS soon? Yes, Omar. That is very, very, very soon. Very soon. I'm sorry that you don't know anything about this, silly little Ravenclaw. I haven't had any book questions or writing questions. But I'll tell you what being put through the ringer. Yeah, there's definitely that side of the system too, Ricky. Ricky's talking about his like third project when he started his job and being able to like just kind of get thrown into the deep end with it. And that's also a strategy. And some people work really well in those environments. I'm the kind of person where it would like cause me a lot of stress, but I would also like bust ass to get things done. And it's not something that I went through in my first job, but I might have come out on the other end better for it, for sure. Have fun washing the truck, Nicholas. What kind of truck do you have? I mean, you're probably gone now, so you may not answer, but Raleigh-Durham question, I don't know. Does that mean you're from Raleigh-Durham area, guys? If you're from Raleigh or Durham and you like want to grab a coffee or something like that, feel free to hit me up. I'm always up for that. I've met other people through YouTube, like at local coffee shops and stuff like that. So I'm always down to hang out and say hey. I have to say thanks to your videos have given me some good advice. Jeff, I'm glad I could help, and thank you for being here. Honestly, I wouldn't do this if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you too. Stress is hella high. I feel you on that, Ricky. Can you explain what a framework is and how to use or install it? So a framework or a library like Angular or React is a layer over top of JavaScript written in JavaScript that like you use to beef up JavaScript. It's how single page like web apps are made using Angular, React, Redux, things like that. And how you install them is by using a product like NPM and installing the framework and then importing that into your project. It's really kind of a big topic and something that is hard to explain when I'm on webcam and not like typing out and showing you how to do it, right? So there's Angular, there's React, there's Vue, there is, and these aren't all frameworks, some of them are libraries. There's Ember, Backbone, there's a ton of these things out there. And I may have just like froze up or something. I don't know. My screen just went completely blank and I don't know what is going on right now. Can you guys still see me? If you can see me, feel free to say so in the chat because I think I just died. But I'm still here, but I froze. So you can hear me. I don't know what's going on. Oh no. There's not an easy way to refresh this either. Let me see if I can turn this back on. What about now? Is that better? You can still hear me. Well, that's good to know. I can ask all the right questions if you want. How do you? Okay, so can you see me now? Okay, awesome. We are back into business. Look at Aaron figuring technology out. Yeah, Backbone's pretty much dead, right? There are still places that hire for it because they have legacy projects written in Backbone, just like Angular 1 is probably dead too, but there are places that need Angular 1 developers because they have this giant project in Angular 1. Yeah, so that, I mean, those are what frameworks and JavaScript frameworks and libraries are. They're essentially ways to beef up your JavaScript and write single-page web applications, and you install them by importing them into a project. I hope that answers the question. Like I said, it's hard to explain when I don't have, like, when I'm not sharing a screen and inside of a project to show you how to do it. Do you even need to know jQuery in 2017? Ricky, I would say that you do need to know jQuery in 2017 if you are trying to get a position at very specific places, right? There are a lot of places that still have legacy code and jQuery, and someday you may have to rewrite that code. And if you're looking at jQuery and you've never looked at it before, it's important to know jQuery. I don't think it's as important to know as it was in, say, like 2007 when everything was written in jQuery because it was easy. Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth it to look into. I would spend more time learning a React-like or Angular-like framework or library than I would learning jQuery today. And I would spend way more time learning vanilla JavaScript than learning jQury. But I think it's good to have at least an understanding of what it is because you'll probably see it sometime. I'd say React is the most future-proof framework at the moment, especially now when they removed the patent. Oh God, the patent clause. Yeah, they were doing some weird. They were doing some weird stuff with those patent clauses, man. I think so. I think it's funny, and I don't know that you're wrong, right? That React is future-proof, but it's one of those things where nobody saw React coming when it popped up, and now it's really popular, and then everybody was on the React train, and now Vue is a thing, and everybody's jumping on Vue because Vue is more powerful out of the box and all of that stuff. And things have life cycles. And Angular 1 was like the thing for a long time because it was kind of the hotness and the first like real like good attempt at what these frameworks and libraries are trying to accomplish. And then it died for a moment, and then React came in, and then now Angular 4 is a thing. So I mean, I would say learn what you're passionate about first. If that's what you're trying to do, is learn. If you're trying to get a job, learn what they're hiring for in your area and find that framework or library out, whatever one's the most popular there. A lot of places in job descriptions too will ask for experience in a framework or library like React or Angular or any of those kind of things. And it doesn't inherently matter which one. They're just hoping that you kind of have an idea of what those things do. So you may choose wrong and end up with a job in Angular if you learned React, but it's okay because I just wanted you to know modern JavaScript, which is using things like ES6 and Webpack and like those kind of things, which you do in both React and Angular. How do you know you're not good enough for front-end stuff? I don't know what you mean, Omar. I don't think that anybody's like not good enough for front-end stuff or not good enough for back-end stuff, right? It's all a matter of like what you want to learn and what you're passionate about and what you enjoy building, really. Why has jQuery become less popular? Ricky hit the nail on the head. There are better solutions out there for what jQuery attempted to do, and jQuery is a super heavyweight solution for writing JavaScript easier, and people have kind of come back to the realization that JavaScript's not too bad, and JavaScript has kind of evolved over the past few years with ES6 and that sort of stuff that's given it a lot more functionality and a lot more, how do I say this, like cleaner ways to write JavaScript in like ES6. And so jQuery has become less and less useful and less important. And JavaScript's just not as hard to write and get out what you need out of it. Even if React isn't future-proof, it teaches you great programming practices minus separation of concern, right? Everything, like every tool that you're going to have out there, right, is going to have its positives, going to have its negatives. React has some negatives to it. It's super lightweight. It's pretty easy to pick up. React alone is, but there are negatives, right? It does some weird things with the separation of concerns, like Ricky's saying, right? You're writing HTML and JavaScript files, which feels ugly and feels weird at first. And you also need to throw in a lot more stuff to get it to function in all of the ways that say like Angular functions, right? Like state management and routing and that sort of stuff doesn't come inherently built into React. And Redux is a bear to learn. It's definitely interesting, and it's a pretty steep climb to get Redux when you first encounter it. Everything has its good and its bad side. It's really, like I said, for me, I'm choosing to learn what I choose to learn because it's what the market needs where you're at. Where's a place to look for jobs other than Indeed and Craigslist, random person? Random person, there is LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a good resource for looking for jobs. Stack Overflow posts jobs. And those are like Indeed, LinkedIn, Stack Overflow are the three places I always check. There's some local places here that like local job boards. And then there's a local Slack channel where I live. I would suggest if you live in a community that has a decent sized tech scene, try to find like a local Slack community or like a local Discord channel for developers in your area. It's been super useful for me trying to find jobs and network. So if you're in the Triangle area, there's one. It's called Triangle Devs Slack. It's pretty awesome. I was going to learn JavaScript, but I changed my mind now. I'm going to become a Wix developer. Barbara, I feel like you're trolling me. I feel like you had my back at first, and now you're trolling me. I haven't even looked at Wix. I'm assuming it's super similar to Squarespace, though, right? Like I think. Yeah, Redux is a different story, man. Redux is a bear. But it's one of those things that's like a very steep mountain, but when you get to the top, like it kind of all falls into place. Would I recommend Angular or React to learn first, or is it what's popular? I would say what's popular in the individual market, Jeff. React is definitely easier to get like up and running and going. Not from like the dev environment setup perspective. I haven't tried to set up an Angular project. And they both have CLIs now, and there's like create React app. Anyways, React is easier to get something built quickly because it's more lightweight and there's less stuff to kind of knock it out on. But if nobody's hiring for React in your area, I would probably learn Angular first. Ricky, when can we do a collab? Dude, yes, whenever you want. Also, yeah, I shouted other people out. Ricky also does YouTube videos. So if you see him in the chat over there, I'm pointing at my screen because that's where it is on my screen. If you see him in the chat, go check out his channel. He does like developer videos and super dope. Why is everyone trying to kill my Wix stream? I don't know that, like I said, I don't know anything about Wix, homie. So if it's a thing, go for it. Squarespace is dope. I've heard good things about Squarespace. I've never messed around with it because it scares me. I'm afraid it's going to take my jobs. Jeff, the difference between React and Angular. So React is a library, and Angular is like a full-fledged framework. So like you use a bunch of different pieces of things with React to get all of the functionality that like Angular has. So there's good and bad that comes with that. React just is kind of like a presentational layer component library, and you can add in the router, you can add in Redux, you can add in Redux form, you can add in a bunch of stuff to make it like a fully functioning single-paged application. Angular comes with all that stuff kind of built in, and there's other stuff that you can add to Angular to make it awesome. It's just two different ways to solve the same problem, basically. They're trying to make single-page apps work on the web and work well, and they do it in two completely different ways. How can you tell when you are good at a language? I mean, it depends on how you define good. I would totally say that you know that you're like, there are moments, there are aha moments that I feel like I've had when I've been developing, and it's been one of those things where I can say to myself, oh, I get this. And those little moments, or like those breakthroughs, are when I feel like I've kind of leveled up as a developer. Things that I thought I would never get that I just end up getting eventually, or I eventually get to work, are like little level ups. And there will be a point when you're learning where you feel like you've caught up to whatever you're learning. Like you feel like you've caught up to the level of tutorial that you're finding, or you've caught up to like the Udemy course that you've bought, and you could see the end project and have a pretty good understanding of how to build most of it. And I think that's when you kind of know that you're kind of at that point. I know you're joking, Barbara. You aren't trying to be a Wix developer. You wouldn't be here. I don't talk about Wix. They do advertise on my videos though, so appreciate that. Maybe a stupid question, but is it true that Bootstrap can't do everything? We always have to use plain CSS to do certain things. I don't know what you mean by do everything. It's definitely not a like, you could build an entire website with Bootstrap and have it function the way that 99% of websites need to. It doesn't do a lot of like the heavy lifting like JavaScript stuff. But if you're just trying to build like a blog website or like a homepage for somebody or a marketing website for somebody, you can use Bootstrap. You'll probably want to do some hacking in the Bootstrap CSS to customize it, so you have your own kind of colors and stuff, and it doesn't look like every like plain basic Bootstrap website out there. Let's see, Ajax equals radius blast attached for 12 man. I don't know. I don't even know what that means, Ricky. I'm gonna be honest. Why is it hard to get a job as a web developer with just knowing front end? I don't know that it's hard. It depends on where you live. There are plenty of places that hire just front end developers. There are plenty of places that just hire back end developers. And then there's a lot of places that want both. Also, Leah's about to troll me and try to get some cuddles. I don't know, Ricky, like I think there are a lot of places now that hire front-end developers because of things like React and Angular that allow the front end to do a lot of heavy lifting logically. There are a lot of places that are moving away from having like a Rails app with a front-end layer and actually going to like essentially like having a backend API that your front end consumes and doing a lot of the heavy lifting on the front end. In those kind of environments, those kind of dev shops, front end developers are super important. Also, Leo says hi. Why don't I talk to you anymore? Well, I talk to everybody. I'm talking to you now. Yeah, and it also depends on your area. Like if your area is still kind of doing the old style of like a Rails app that has like a front end layer to it or whatever it is for their like web app, then they're not going to hire front enders because everything's written in Ruby or whatever it is. Squarespace, Wix, Shopify, and WordPress have their place for people that just don't have the money for a dev, I guess. Yeah, man, like I think that the barrier to entry to having a website going down with things like Squarespace and Wix isn't a bad thing for developers. And it's not exactly the kind of gig that I want anyway, right? Like I don't want to make marketing websites for the next 20 years. I want to build like apps that help people and like do awesome stuff and like add value to people's lives. And so in that sense, like I don't really mind Squarespace and Wix being a thing because they're not doing that sort of work. They're making marketing websites or they're making blogs, that sort of stuff. Since I know Python, once I figured out the syntax of JS, will it be pretty similar? No, Python is a lot different than JavaScript, but once you learn one language, it's a lot easier to recognize patterns in other languages. So by learning Python or knowing Python, you'll be able to understand the way that JavaScript works better than somebody who doesn't know any kind of language. Leah's being needy, so needy. How about them Detroit Pistons? Homie, I don't know nothing about them Detroit Pistons, to be honest with you. I am much more of, okay, so here's my NBA story. I'm from Southwest Ohio. I'm from the Dayton area. And so we don't have a professional basketball team down there. There's the Cleveland Cavaliers, but I grew up a Bengals and a Reds fan. So I hated everything to do with Cleveland. It's just how it works if you're from Ohio. And so when LeBron James came out in 2003, I decided I was a Carmelo Anthony fan because he was the other like big star in that draft class. And so, yeah, I decided that I was going to be a Melo fan. And so I followed the Nuggets kind of. Then when he went to New York, I love New York City. Like New York City is my, like, I would move to New York City in 15 seconds if I could. And so I became a Knicks fan, and I followed the Knicks for a long time. I liked them a lot. Then he got traded to the Thunder. So I've been kind of following the Thunder, but I'm just out on the NBA right now. Like I watch good games. I really like watching LA play because they're a young team who I enjoy watching. The Sixers, I like watching the Sixers play because they're young and exciting to watch. I like watching Cleveland play, I guess. I've turned around on LeBron. I'm older now, more mature. Don't really want to hold that grudge forever, I guess. Your cat's name was Snake. And if I can guess why, I'm a mind reader. I don't know, because of Slytherin or something to do with Harry Potter. I don't know Harry Potter that well, so. To get an entry-level front-end job while only knowing HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, and React would be A, very hard, B, hard, C, just takes some time, D, easy. I would say probably take a little bit of time, depending upon the market you're in, and depending upon how hard you're willing to hustle. I don't know Cincinnati's tech market well enough to be able to tell you if it's a good place to be or not. I think it is. I don't know. I would say that it's like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, React, the basics, being able to build stuff and being able to show you have a passion for it and being able to sell yourself. You should be able to find a job fairly like easy in the sense that like you're breaking into this career field, right? It's never going to be super easy. You're never going to walk in, drop your resume off at the table, and they'd be like, you're hired in a day. But it shouldn't be the hardest thing in the world to get to. All popular YouTube devs have cats. Will this improve my fluency with JavaScript? So is that true? Well, first off, popular YouTube devs, I'm not that popular, but I don't know who else has a cat. I feel like Chris Sean, does he have a cat? No, I don't know. Who else has cats, man? Let's see. Sounds like you're on something, Ricky. Oh no, things are going on. Sounds like you blah, 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 blah. I keep reading the same thing because my scrolly bar is bad. American Sports Talk. Barbara, are you from England? Since your last name is London, where are you from? Because I can talk about soccer if you want. I'm a Tottenham Hotspurs fan when it comes to the EPL, and I'm a Bayern Munich fan when it comes to the Bundesliga. So if you want to talk soccer or football, if you're not from the US, we can do that. Can't afford a boot camp, CSS levels. How can I continue learning code by myself? I would say your best bet is to like check out Udemy courses and like knock out Udemy courses the best you can. Find free tutorials on places like Medium. Follow a bunch of devs on Twitter who like to teach, like Wes Boss and a bunch of other people that I'm blanking on the name from now, and just try to continue to grow your skill set. in the best way that you can afford to economically. Udemy has sales on courses all the time. If you're paying 90 bucks for a Udemy course, you're doing it wrong. Find a different link, because it should be like 15, 10, 15, $20 when it comes to the web developer stuff, and just like boost your skills that way. Gosh dang it. Is it bad to try to make something first and then learn? Because I feel like when I learn, I don't understand it until I use it. I would suggest a very, very good balance of, but like a balance of learning and building, right? Learn a new skill and then try to use it in a different way than how you learned it through the tutorial you learned it from. And that will help you understand what that skill does. Jeff, you live in Denver. Well, I mean, Denver is like a really good tech market, I'm pretty sure. So like you may want to go out there and try to figure out like where you're at in the job market and apply to a few places and try to get feedback from them and like your skills. One of the things that I would suggest to anybody who's applying for jobs and they're not sure if they're job ready because they're teaching themselves how to learn. I'm going to take a drink because I'm getting parched. The biggest thing that I would suggest is once you start applying for jobs and you start talking to people, when you have phone screens, if you get coding challenges, if you have phone tech interviews, or if you have in-person technical interviews, at the end of the interview, ask what it is you think you should improve on. As a candidate applying for this role, what are some of the things that you would have concerns about me, like as a developer, or what do you think I can improve on to be better suited for this role? And even if you don't get that job, at least you get that advice from the person in that field who could help you out in like figuring out what you kind of need to beef your skills up for to be job ready. Like ask those questions. Most people are like really awesome and willing to answer those and be super transparent and honest with you about it. Coding Tutorials 360. Oh, that's a YouTuber with a cat? I'm definitely not the coolest YouTube dev ever. I promise you that. 360 has a cat. Oh, Big Soldier, I heard about the Ball family. And I don't know if you guys know about this story. What he's talking about, a kid who plays for UCLA, whose brother's in the NBA, is currently like in prison or being held in China for shoplifting, and that's terrible. I feel really bad for that kid. My scroll bar is messing up again. You're from London, so that's super awesome. An Arsenal fan? I mean, we can still be friends, right? It's just you picked the wrong team. Oh, you're an Arsenal fan too? Oh, man. I feel really bad for you guys. Also, actually, no, I can't. I don't think I can say it. I might. There's a small possibility that I may end up in London sometime in the near future. So all my London people out there. What are the languages that separate web dev from front-end dev? I don't think there are, right? Like, if you're a web developer, you probably, like, if you're a web developer and you work in Ruby, then you work in Ruby. So I think that there's a lot of, if there was a Venn diagram of web dev and front-end dev, there's a lot of middle ground where they're the same technologies, but you can develop for the web on a multitude of platforms. The big three web development languages or technologies are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Those are the same for front-end devs, though. Another Gooner. I'm assuming that's an Arsenal thing. Good luck to you guys. I don't know, man. Yeah, Tottenham is where it's at right now. I became a Tottenham fan because I looked at the Premier League like 8 years ago or something, and I wanted to pick a team that was good but wasn't the best. And at the time, it was like Man City and Man United were like the top two teams in the league. And then I think Arsenal was up there and Chelsea. And Tottenham was the fifth team on the table at the time. And I was like, all right, I'm going to pick Tottenham because they're not the best, but like they have a shot at this. And then they like a couple years later got pretty good. And now they're like really good. So I'm super happy with my choice. Do I see React Native jobs? I see a ton of React Native jobs where I am because there's a bunch of agencies that use React Native for mobile development because they were a JavaScript like web dev shop that got into mobile development. And it's an easy way to get into mobile development if you know JavaScript. So yeah. .NET though, lots of people use .NET for web development. I always forget about .NET because I haven't worked like with a Windows computer for it. There's a lot of .NET jobs around here though too for web development. Are there any cool backend ideas besides a blog or a login page? Honestly, like building out a dope API and like understanding how to build out an API is probably your best bet when it comes to backend development. But I'm not a backend person, so like I'm probably not the best person to ask. Are they really about to get 3 to 10 years? So fun fact about China, if they decide to press charges, which I don't know, like I haven't read anything about this China like basketball incident since a couple of days ago or yesterday. But if they decide to press charges, China has like a 99% conviction rate. So those people are like definitely convicted if they decided to press charges. What's .NET? .NET is Barbara. .NET is it's another programming framework to use to build web applications. It's a Microsoft thing. Dope and API do not go together. That's not true. Dope and API can go together if it's really well done. Not all APIs are great at it though, or not all APIs are dope. Some APIs suck, but some are awesome, especially if they have good documentation. If you want to be a backend dev and you want to build an API, document it, and that's super impressive because people should document their code. Yeah, .NET is a framework. You use C# in lots of places. C#. Oh, man. Yeah, they don't speak Chinese. And I heard UCLA just like left them where they were to go play their game. I feel really bad for those people. Headaches and APIs go together. What is NPM? NPM is Node Package Manager. Node Package Manager. I think that's the right acronym. You use NPM to like install dev dependencies and regular dependencies for applications. So if you're building out if you're wanting to build out a web app and you're wanting to use React and you're wanting to use Redux and you're wanting to use Axios to make API or AJAX requests, then you would use NPM to install those packages into your project, and it holds those dependencies and stuff like that. Do you really need to know an operating system to be a web or front-end dev? You don't inherently need to know like the inner workings of an operating system, but it is good to know like command line interface stuff if you're going to be working at like a Mac shop, or understanding how Visual Studios works if you're working at a Microsoft shop. And there are definitely differences when it comes to developing for Windows and developing for Mac. I'll see you later, Ricky. Like I said, if you guys haven't subscribed to Ricky's channel, go check Ricky out because he's super awesome. You don't need to know CPU architecture for web development. I mean, it's not a bad thing to know, but you don't absolutely have to know it. Command line definitely helps, William. Have a good one, Jeff, and say hi to Denver for me. Working right now, home office for the win. Yeah, dude, I miss working from home. Oh wait, that's all I do now. That was a funny joke. It wasn't that funny. Well, that's good, Barbara. I'm glad you subbed to him ages ago. Ricky is a good dude. He's been around here for a long time, like around my channel for a long time. And like, I'm just happy that he's become successful in his web development journey. Like, he's just a super dope guy. So yeah, I've been going at this for like a little bit over an hour now. I'm getting ready to get off of here and go do more stuff with my day. Let's see, in summary, what did I talk about? So yeah, if you guys weren't here at the beginning of the stream, I talked about Twitch channel. I'm going to be starting that soon-ish, hopefully. If you guys haven't checked out my CSS video that I posted yesterday, check that out. I'm going to be doing my JavaScript video here shortly, and a couple of other videos in the next little bit. When do algorithms and data structure become important in web development? I mean, they're always important. You don't necessarily need to have a good understanding of data structure to get a job if you're wanting to do front-end work like straight away, but it is something that's like worth understanding like Big O notation and stuff like that. I got tripped up in an interview because I'm not great with Big O. And so it's not something that's going to be the most important thing to learn like over JavaScript, but it's something worth knowing. Am I going to play 2K or COD? I'll probably play COD on Twitch. I'm a big FIFA guy. I love FIFA. I'm no good at 2K, man. Like I'm buck wildly bad at 2K. So if you're looking for an easy challenge, man, I'll play you in 2K, but I'm going to be bad at it. Thanks, Thomas. I like my community around here too. I super enjoy all of you guys, even if there's some weird people in the chat sometimes. Man, I love hanging out with you guys. So yeah, if you guys haven't checked it out already, feel free to check out the CSS video. I've said that already. If you haven't hit the thumbs up button on this video, hit that too. And yeah, maybe I'll do another one of these next week if I'm not working, although hopefully I'm working by then. But yeah, I'll do another one of these next week, and I will talk to you guys very soon. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Missed you on Twitter a while back, but again, let me know if you want Q shout out on Twitch. Happy to learn what you are going to stream beforehand. Yeah, Don the developer, hit me up on Twitter again. I may have missed it. I've had phone issues, and also I have a problem responding to people via social media sometimes. Hit me up on Twitter again, and we can chat it out there. I hope you guys have a good one, guys. I hope you guys have a good one, guys. That's not even words. It's been an hour. My voice is like going. I don't know. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye.